Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of From the Contest Queen. It is Monday, August 4th at 9 p.m. and I'm very excited because we have a very special guest tonight. I have on the phone with me Helene Hadsell, and she is a woman who won every contest she entered. I think we all want to rub her arm for good luck. I first learned about Helen when one of my favorite authors, Joe Vitale, blogged about her in her book Name It and Claim It. And if you get my newsletter, you had some order information there on how to get that book for yourself. It all began for Helen when her husband, who's a fisherman, drew her attention to a contest sponsored by Coke as the prizes were outboard motors. Helen entered and, of course, won. Do you want to talk a little more about that, Helen?
Yes, but we'll start at the beginning because I read The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. And the thing that intrigued me was he said you can have anything you want provided you know what it is. And then you can see yourself as having it. And I thought that was profound. And after that night, I was so, all excited. And that's when my husband was reading the paper. And I told him, I said, we can have anything we want, provided we know what it is. And he said, well, I'd like to have this outboard motor. And I sat there.
That's pretty specific.
Yes, and see, when I was contesting means you have to complete 25 words or less or 50 words or less. And here's where a creative imagination comes in. I sat in the chair. I pretended I was my husband because he liked to fish by himself. And I wrote 25 words. In fact, these are the words. I'm a lone wolf fisherman. Cokes are my silent partners. They contribute no yakety yak when called upon. And that was 25 words, and I sent it in, and I didn't know any better, and I just had this confidence that they're just going to let me win. A week later, naturally, they called, and he won. And from that day on, I kept thinking, okay, what else do I want? And it started, it was just, you would say it was miraculous. But later on, when I was really serious what's going on here, that's when I realized that you are projecting energy. And when you project anything with motion, then it is amplified and it happens faster than if you just mental muse with it. So then I had so many requests and letters and different comments from people because now locally I probably was considered the contest queen, before you came in the picture. So,
well, I do consider you a contest queen, that's for sure.
But anyway, what I did, Carolyn, I said anytime anybody called, I said, well, if you want to be a winner, you better use my motto, which is SPEC, S-P-E-C. And they said, well, what's that? And I said, it's selected, projected, collected, expected, collected.
Collected.
And if there's a secret that people are seeking as a winner, you now have the answer. So select it, project it, expect it, and then you collect it. And that's the way it works. And what I'm really, really stressing is when you do have, you choose a prize, any prize. A lot of people just choose to win. I never did. I wanted a specific prize, and I would focus on that, and I would look at other things that were available. I wouldn't enter because that was not on their list. So I became very, very specific and would concentrate energy on just one thing. And that's what I won. Every time I would win, it would be first prize, things that I wanted. So that's another, I think, gem of wisdom. And, of course, during my period, I was accused of using WISHcraft, and I kept hearing it, and my son would be embarrassed at school. And that's when I coined the word wish, W-I-S-H, wishcraft.
Wishcraft.
Yeah. And
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, and then later on I noticed that some people were using it in their books, but that's okay because it works. And so actually that's what we have, witchcraft.
Okay, so one of the questions I had sent you in advance of the interview was a lot of people, especially now with the advent of the Internet, because the postage is no longer an issue, you can enter hundreds of promotions.
Yes,
So, and that's what I've been doing, and I win quite a bit. But there's the prizes, and I'm going to use your words, in the process of winning, such as my new car, that have not arrived yet. So would I be better off not entering anything and just focusing on, say, car promotions?
Well, if this is what you want to do, and you said you entered so many of them, how many hours a day do you spend? This is important. I mean, what is the purpose here? I mean, it's a hobby, but it can be all-consuming, and it can just almost take over. Well, I never did that, Carolyn.
Yeah, I only spend about an hour, maybe 2 a day at most, if that, and there's days that I have 10 minutes. So it's the amazing thing about the computers is that you can enter a lot in a short amount of time, which is either a really good thing or maybe listening to you a really bad thing.
Well,
here's cutting it out.
Okay, let me just project this and you think about it. When you're entering so many, you are dissipating your energies. Your energy. How many? What are you concentrating on? You're working with energy, Carolyn. And
right.
That's the reason I say when you're focusing on one thing, and then you have selected that, you have projected that energy to that one thing, and then that's when you win it, and then you can go to something else. Okay.
What happens with a lot of promotions nowadays is there's two things. I use software, and basically I enter once and forget about it. So it's not even in my, it's not even on my radar, so to speak. Or there's a lot of one-time entry promotions that are the same. You enter once, and I forget about it.
Well, why do you enter if you forget about it?
Okay.
Don't you want one specific thing? You don't forget about it, honey. You selected it, and you projected it, and now you've got to expect it to collect it.
Oh, I'm going to have to rewrite a new book and change the whole entering system that's in my book.
Well, all right. Now, just a minute. I'm not belittling you, because if you've been a constant winner, but how many things do you really want that you have won or they have given you? How many things do you really want?
Well, a lot of the stuff I like. I like the surprise of not knowing what's coming. I really like that whole Christmas morning kind of feeling.
Okay.
I really like, say, winning tickets to things I may not normally go to. Like we won 4 tickets to go see a Toronto Rocks game. Now, the Toronto Rocks team is our lacrosse team. Well, I've never seen lacrosse played ever. So we went, to my husband, myself, and another couple, and we had such a fun evening out together. And I would never have gone on my own. And I like that because it was something that I never would have tried had I not won the tickets. So I do like that. But, I hate that word, but. I heard that, but. I would really like to have more frequent trips, like the bigger stuff. So I see what you're saying about collecting my energies away from the smaller things and combining them to win the bigger things.
Yes. And
is that what you mean?
Yes, because you've read the book, and then, my husband, we would sit there, as a family unit, and I'd say, where do we want to go this year for our vacation? And my son said, I want to go to a dude ranch. And so that time, I just projected prizes for a dude ranch, so we went a dude ranch. And
okay, now here's a question. You said as a family. Would all of you, because I think there was 5 of you, right?
Yes.
Would all of you project, hey, we're going to a dude ranch, so now it's quintupled the energy?
Yes, I would project the energy. My husband was very, very, very supportive. And the children, I said, don't tell anybody. And, you know, I coined the phrase also, first of all, you bag it, then you brag it. And so they would never mention, you know, what's your mother going to win next? And they would just not say anything. But as a family unit, they knew that we were going to have to win this trip to this dude ranch.
Okay, so you combine your energies to make it even stronger.
Yes. And the children never discussed anything with anybody because I said it was, see what happens, Carolyn. You become a winner, then there's envy. And you do not know, this is very, very subtle, and I don't mean to be negative, but this person that has envy decides what makes her think she's going to win it. And you are very, very tuned in, and thought transference goes on constantly. And you can pick up her thought because she's sending energy, and then all of a sudden you think it's your thought. And then now you're doubting, and you pick these things up. I mean, the ordinary person, I'm aware of it now, but 99 and 44% of the people are not aware how much you pick up during the day that were not instrumental in that thought. You're getting thoughts from other people constantly. And if they're negative, you just say, I don't need that. I'm sure you're familiar with some people that have physical challenges, and you walk in the room and you take on symptoms. This is being very, very, very sensitive. And you get that way, or either I am. Are we still with you?
Yeah, okay. So you can, it's the whole woe is me syndrome where you go visit a sick friend and the next thing you know, your tummy aches or your shoulder hurts or your ankle feels tender.
And not only that, Carolyn, they can think of you and you can pick up their thoughts. Early on, and we're becoming more and more sensitive in our evolutionary process that's going on, and, you know, time is just, it's like a jump start. Well, more and more people have this ability, and they don't recognize it, and some of them are pity party all the time. And so when I do my counseling here, and people come in and tell me what their challenges are or whatever, and I'll say, have you thought of this? Who are people that you don't care for? Let's go ahead and nullify that, and let's make yourself comfortable. So these are things, well, I did that research actually after I won everything I possibly wanted. You know, I won the big house, I won several cars, trips, any place I wanted to go. And after that, I mean, who needs more? And that's when I decided I'm going to research this energy.
Okay.
And when I start researching the energy, the first thing I did was I went to New York. I went to England and sat in seance rooms for 3 weeks and was able to determine when a thought form or an aberration. I can see in other dimensions, incidentally. And I don't have a brain tumor, or I'm not crazy, because a lot of people have this ability. Now they have this ability, because I see people all the time that are...
So many people have the ability, they just don't admit it.
Yes, It can scare the yell out of you the first time you experience it. And now, and I have references of people that have this. I mean, what's going on here? And then I can determine if it's their thought form or if it's an apparition or somebody that came and is standing around them and sort of, well, you wouldn't call it a guardian, the guardian or the counselor or whatever you want to call it, whatever term you want to call it. An angel, incidentally, doesn't have those big flappy wings. An angel can be a person from your past. And when I deal on a one-to-one basis with people in counseling, it becomes very, very clear if someone comes in and stands beside him, and I just don't know a thing about this person, and I will just listen. It's like a telepathic communication that this other entity is telling me to tell them. And so it gets to be quite exciting. And how do you come about doing this? Everything that is important to us is we first must have a desire. And when we have this desire, and then when we project, and then things start happening. And I know I digressed, and it is applicable to winning contests. I'm certain of it, because even if I sit here today and I decide I want to go someplace, which we did a number of years ago, I just sit here and I say, I'd like to go to New York, and I'd like to see this little new play they have, the best whorehouse in Texas, and my husband's sitting here, and we haven't entered any contest, haven't done a thing. And all of a sudden the phone rings, and it's Rich Little, and he said, Mrs. Hadsell, he said, I read your book a number of years ago, and I want you on my talk show. Can you come to New York? We will pay all your expenses. So you'll be on my show.
You're getting so good you don't even have to fill out the entry form.
That is right. That is right. That's what I'm trying to say. And then he said, and is there anything you want? And I said, yeah, I'd like tickets to the best little whorehouse in Texas. Okay, Mrs. Hadsell. And what else do you want? So
that's a great story.
Yes, and so what you see is you're working with energy. And that's the main thing. And if I can really, really stress to all the listeners out there, make your motto SPEC. Selected, projected, expected, and then collected. If you've not learned one thing in this hour, that should get you on a path of being a winner. Okay.
Well, that's okay. I'm getting it here because I read your book and I found it completely fascinating because it was written long before the movie and the book The Secret came out and became very popular, and all these people that worked in the realm of positive thinking. I mean, Norman Vincent Peale, he wrote his book in the 50s. He was, way ahead of the curve.
Yes.
But I found it fascinating that several of the things you said in your book were so familiar, like thoughts become things.
Yes,
definitely. And paste pictures up. I'm thinking, wow, she's doing vision boards before vision boards were, the in thing to do.
Oh, yes. Visualization is quite important. And that's giving it energy again. And I do stress that if there's an emotion there, when we have say, what's our emotions? Emotions are love, hate, fear, anger, pain. These are all very, very intense emotions. And when you have pain, a physical challenge, the pain, you can dwell on the pain, and it can become very intense. Pain and energy comes in pulsations. And usually when someone has this pain in something, I say, okay, all right, you can either give it pain or you can change it to energy. And when it comes to energy, then pulsations start. And there is no discomfort there. There are pulsations for healing. So it really and truly, another answer is being able to control mind over matter, and that includes pain, that includes anger or hate or whatever else energy you have that's exaggerated or amplified. In my book, I'm very, very comfortable with author Frank Outlaw, and what he said, and this is very important, I think, and it says, watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words. They become actions. Watch your actions. They become habits. Watch your habits. They become character. And then watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. And when you meditate on that, it makes so much sense. And I have that in my book.
I really like that quote.
It is. And then I also have to have this little sense of humor, And I say, somebody says, well, what do I need to succeed in life? And I usually answer only 3 things to succeed in life. And that's a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. And I said...
Oh, I don't remember reading that in your book.
Well, now, if you get to know Carolyn personally, I'm sure you'll agree with me. Your book was titled, would clue you in, you can't win if you don't enter.
Yeah, no, I like that. A wishbone, a wishbone, a backbone,
and a funny bone.
A funny bone. That is brilliant.
Well, you did it. You started with a wish, Carolyn. You used your backbone because it took some doing to get started on.
Holy moly, did it take some doing?
Yes, And by working towards your goal, you now can enjoy and are using your funny bone. You should be. So that's
it is fun.
Yes, it is.
That's for sure.
Because if it isn't, then you're going to just go ahead and say, it's not worth it, okay? And when I do blueprints for people all over the world, and I love telling people about themselves. Everybody should become aware of self. And so when I do these blueprints, at the end I always have this, and this is something you need to think about. I said, make every day special. Share a joke, hum a song, pass some special joy along. And if someone should come your way who doesn't share your joy today, the hell with them. That's my sense of humor. Okay, I have taken up enough of your time. Any questions?
Oh, well, we had some people write some questions. One person, how it works here on the Blog Talk Radio is that most people don't call in and talk. They are in a chat room and they type out their questions, so I have to read them to you. Now, one woman wanted to know if you were still entering sweepstakes, but I think you kind of answered that by saying you were sitting there when Richard Little phoned when you decided you wanted to go to New York.
Yeah. My needs, now, see, I'm 84 years old, and right now I just finished my first fiction book, A Man Called Friday. I am so excited, like a little kid. And as I finished it, something tells me that it has to be either a screenplay for Hallmark or for Lifetime. And right now, I need to have it published, which I self-publish, because I don't want to mess with sending it in and waiting for people to evaluate it. Being able to sell a book nowadays is almost impossible because everybody, and that's not negative, it's being realistic because so many of them publish their own books, have their own methods of doing it, because self-publishing is something that's not a forthcoming, it's already here. And so I'm going to publish it myself. Doesn't cost that much. And then I'm going to mail it out to 3 or 4 people that I'm inclined to mail out. And then I'm going to telepathically communicate to that person that they should consider it. I don't use witchcraft. I use WISHcraft. And if they're tuned in and they're reading the book, they'll pick up my message. And when you pick up a message, you can accept it or reject it. So I'm not pushing minds around. And I know you can push minds around, but I don't. I choose not to do that. In my research, there are people that are very, very good senders, and there are very good receivers. I'm an excellent sender. My younger son is a good receiver. And early in my research, I would project to him, and he would say he was at college, and I would project to him, and he would call the phone and pick up verbatim what I was projecting. And this continued, and it still continues today. So there are people that can just simply pick up thoughts. And that's why I say you now learn to discern. Do I want to give him $1,000 or don't I? You know? It depends what you're projecting. One time, I was in the kitchen fixing lunch, and he came in the door, and I wanted to get out and get some yellow roses because I was having guests for dinner that night. I didn't tell him about yellow roses. He was preoccupied. He had to go to Sears to pick up a tire for his car. But before he said, I got to get this tire, and then I got to get back and get to work. All I did, I'm there working. I'm making praline for supper that night. I mean, for my guests that night. And I look at him. Not a word was spoken. And I just think of my yellow roses. And would you believe, at that time in Irving, where I lived, Tyler, Texas, has lots and lots of roses. And so the children, the kids that went to college would come into Irving and sit at street corners and sell roses for $1 a dozen to supplement their income. And they had pink roses, yellow roses, white roses, red roses. Do you know, coming back home from Sears, he stopped. He'd never done this before, but he stopped and got a dozen roses. Now he
yellow ones.
Yeah, he walked in the door. No kidding. And he got the newspaper behind him. And I look at him and I said, my yellow roses. And he threw them on the counter. He said, whose thought was that? Yours or mine? And I said, it was my thought, but you accepted it. So yes, you can play games with your husband with this. At night we'd yeah, and then
I can sit there and dream.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yes.
a Tiffany necklace.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh dear. But then he has to accept it or reject it.
Yes, they can accept it or reject it. Yes. So you're not using witchcraft. You're using WISHcraft.
WISHcraft.
Now they know what you're doing. My husband used to say, I know what you're doing, but it's okay. And then he'd get up and make my coffee or whatever. So this is a point that I became aware of after I won every contest. Everything I needed, I won. Now, how far can you go? After a while, it becomes jaded. It's no longer a challenge. And then my next challenge was, hey, I want to learn more about myself. And that's when I start reading intently about astrology, numerology, Chinese, every aspect that told me about myself. And that's when I compiled this formula to write blueprints for people. And when I was in Peru, very, very interesting. I was there 2.5 months and doing research in England and any place I went that I felt I could learn. And I would sit there at night and I compiled this entire blueprint for people. And I said, well, if they're really, really interested, and then your name has a vibration. The day you were born has a vibration. So everything about you is like, so what else is new? For instance, you were born in January, is this correct?
That's right.
And you were born on the 9th?
Yes.
Okay. and you were born in 1967.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. That makes you a cosmic parent. You're a cosmic parent, and this means you're very benevolent, and you are interested in the helps and the needs of other people. So you're following your destiny, which is exactly what you're doing, because, see, January is a 1, so you're a leader, an absolute leader. The 9 is the humanitarian part of you, and that's very, 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 when I see a 7 or a 9 in a chart, I just get excited because I know that they're benevolent. And then the 1967 is a 5, and what a 5 is lots and lots of travel for you after 57, and you're going to be writing, teaching, and for the rest of your life, the best of your life, from 57 on, it's just going to be all like, I'll loan you my phrase, life is either a daring adventure or nothing, and then you're going to make it daring, kid.
Wow, that's amazing, and it's funny because when you said that I am to help people, I've always known that.
Yes.
I've always known that I wanted to help people. Now, I thought it was going to be in another form, and it didn't pan out, and this is how it finally ended up manifesting, helping people have more fun in their lives. But, yeah, I've always known that. Now, I did have a couple of people ask some questions. You know how you talk about the ability to read people and send messages and all that? Did you have that right from when you were young and you weren't able to figure out what it was, or did you develop it over time?
No, as a child of 5, I was in the bed. I was in the room when my grandfather died. And my grandmother taught, very Catholic, strong Catholic background, and she kept saying the angel was going to come and take my granddad. Well, an angel, she had this huge picture on the wall with a huge, beautiful angel, big wings. And now, as a 5-year-old, I decided I had to be in that room because I wanted to see the angel that was going to take him. Well, he had asthma, and he was gasping for breath, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden he sits up, and a whole group of people come behind him, and he stands up, and he smiles, and they embrace, and then they go through the wall. All right, now this was something I saw. It was like having 2 grandpas there. One was on the bed, and the other went through the wall. And then, of course, he died, and I'm so disappointed because I go out there after he died. Everybody left the room, and I looked at my mother, and I said, you know something? The angel didn't take Grandpa. He went with a lot of people. So I was already, at the age of 5, being able to see in that other dimension.
Okay. You didn't quite know what it was. You just knew that he had left.
That's right. And as a Catholic, sometimes the funerals were held in the church. We had to go to Mass every Sunday. Every day before we went to the classroom. And if there was a funeral, it would always confuse me because the casket was up there, and there would be a man standing there, or a woman if it was the body of a woman, and just looking around, and nobody else could see her. I would say, look at that lady standing there by the casket. Even, as I was going, nobody would see her. And what it was, and later on this can be humorous or it can be a sick joke, but I then made the determination they would come to their own funeral to see how popular they were or how many people were there. This, really and truly. Because later on, when I got to know the people that were in the casket.
When you were older.
Yeah, when I was older, yes, And then I could communicate with these people. And they would say, I'm waiting for so-and-so or whatever. And then sometime they would leave. that there would be earthbound maybe for a little while, and then they'd be gone because the wife would say, it seemed like he was in the bedroom at night. Well, he was. He was. And lingering, why, I don't know. And then they would go off into whatever concept they had, heaven, hell, purgatory, or in Indians go to their happy hunting ground. But that's just in that next dimension. As we are in an evolutionary process, we continue to evolve into different levels of consciousness. And this physical body is just a vehicle for planet Earth, which is a learning experience is what the planet is here. So that's why you choose to come down here. You choose your parents. I have found all this out when I am dealing with children. And so self-awareness, right now, today, I think the most important thing, and you can have your contests and you can win your prizes. Why not? You deserve the best. They're out there.
It's fun, too.
Yes, oh, definitely, definitely. But later on, when you get real serious, and then you want to have more answers, what makes me tick, click, and sick? Why am I mad, sad, glad, or bad? You ask yourself these questions, and then all of a sudden, books appear, people appear, and then that's when I got very, very serious working with this energy. And when I do my blueprints, this is very interesting because I work with your numbers, that's all. And I'm on my computer and I'm talking about you and I do the cards for you, every aspect of you. And then I ask, before I mail the blueprint out, I sit and say, is there anything else this person needs to know? And if somebody appears, it's not somebody I recognize, so I then know it belongs to you, belongs to this person that I'm working with. And then I sit there, and it's like they dictate. Tell them this, tell them that, tell them this. And I may write a whole page on what you're to look at or what you're to think about. And then I feel good, and then I send it out. And last week I sent one to a doctor in Hong Kong.
Wow.
Yeah, all over the world. I mean, it's just been amazing. And I do know advertising. It's a word-of-mouth thing. And usually when they get my book, order my book, I put in a slip and I talk about this is available, my other books are available, or here's my blueprint available. So that's what I like to do now. Love it. It's like the person is right here with me, and we're having a conversation.
Oh, how fun.
Yes, yes, yes. And then also you indicated that you would like to spend some time with me. Well, we can make that available after it's convenient in the fall. And by then I should have my other house available over here that I used as a dormitory. I have sort of closed that up, but anytime I meet somebody that's very, very sincere and interested, I consider them to come in and share my concepts, to be accepted or rejected, because I'm not a fanatic on anything. I can watch you and I can see from body language if you're accepting it or if you're ready for it. And I can tell you things that I don't know. I sent you an email earlier when I was talking about Dr. Joseph Murphy, Powers of the Subconscious Mind, very good friend of mine, and he's written a book because former Catholic priest decided to leave the order and decided to make P-tapes, personalized tapes for people, because he knew it was so, so important to program yourself. To program yourself, and then it would help you in all areas, whether it was for healing, self-confidence, a project you were going, and he did this with tapes. But his story, how he accomplished this fabulous house and everything, he never mentioned it in any of his books because he said they would say I was a witch. And he said, but I can talk to you. And he was my guest several times. So many times I can talk to people that are on my wavelength, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have so much in common, and we learn from each other. And he was very, very open. Norman Vincent Peale insisted he come to meet me. And,
wow.
And Dr. Peale also wrote about me in several of his books and in his magazines. He said she has the ability and to select it, protect, expect it. He didn't use those words, but he said she does. She knows what she wants, and she stays with it. And that's why Murphy did the tapes. You know, how to be healthy, or how to be wealthy, or how to be whatever you wanted to do. And he had a selection of tapes. And taping is very, 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 very important and can be very successful, especially in healing. If you have a physical challenge and it is a discomfort and it's a nagging thing and you dwell on it, well, you dwell on it to such a point that it's dormant. You don't let it heal unless you're constantly saying, heal, heal, heal. And then things start happening. Yes, go to your medical doctor. Get his opinion. And whatever it is that he recommends, and then make it work for you. So your thoughts are very, very, very important in all areas of life.
So whatever you want, whether it's health or wealth or love or prizes.
Yes. It has to come from, first of all, mind over matter. And that's the reason that I wrote my second book, you know. Well, I wrote Other Realms, which was so far out that I think I only had 2,000 copies, and after they sold, I thought, this is too far out for these people. It can scare the hell out of them, first of all, or they're not interested, because, I mean, they're not ready to really and truly get into the spiritual aspect of themselves. And so when I do get orders for blueprints, I'm always looking for 7s and 9s. 6s are very good, too. So you have a 9.
Oh, I'm doing well then, because I have the 1 and then 9 and then another 9 and then 6 and 7.
You're right on target. In other words, you are following your mission. And your little friend Joe, if I tell, you know, he has the 9 too. And he has the 3 as being a writer. You have the 5 and he has the 5. So he's the adventurer.
Funny.
Yes. Your kids have a lot in common.
Well, I do love his books. I have to say that I really started to get into this focused energy when I was reading his book, and I got halfway through I was halfway through the book, and he talked about rewriting out your goals, and I guess I did focus my energy because I rewrote them out, and I was feeling very lucky. And that day I went to the stopped off and bought a lottery ticket. I phoned my husband. He was visiting his parents, and I said, okay, go buy 2 quick picks and an encore, because I figured if the universe is sending me money, I didn't have to worry about the numbers. And I hit, and I did the same, and I hit 5 out of 6 numbers, and I won $2,100, and I was shaking because I was at the lottery kiosk, and I handed the woman the ticket. I was so busy. I had my daughter in one hand and groceries in the other, and I handed her the ticket. I said, can you check this? And the machine, you know, does this little music, and she says, oh, I can't give you this. It's too much. And I'm thinking, too much? How much is too much?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have really liked Joe's techniques.
Yes.
Since I hadn't even finished the book, I thought, wow, imagine if this is what halfway through does, what's the next, you know, the rest of the book going to be like? So, and I've read his newest one. I really like his stuff. I'm recommending Helen's books to everyone, but also if you haven't read any of Joe Vitale's stuff, definitely.
We're friends. He called. I did his blueprint. He sent me all his books.
Oh, aren't they wonderful? I love them.
Yes. And he put me on his blog, and I had 902 responses on
Holy!
Yes.
902. Wow.
Well, see, he's benevolent. He's the 9, which is the humanitarian. He was born in December the 29th, which is an 11, a master number, but he has the 3 in December, which he has this ability to write, to express, and to teach. So he's following all the numbers here. See, numbers,
yeah, because he wrote the original hypnotic marketing book.
Yes. So he knows. I mean, he's tuned in. And you have the 9, he has the 9. That's very, very, very interesting. So, yeah, anytime I know anybody, total stranger, and they'll call and I say, do you mind if you tell me if I ask you your birthday? And the minute they tell me, I go click, click, click. Okay, this is it. I don't impose my concepts on them, but I know who I'm dealing with, you know?
That's pretty funny. Now, I had someone ask a question. Hang on, let me just go back up now. Someone wanted to know if you've ever come across any mean spirits, because you said you had some good spirits with your grandfather. Obviously, seeing him, he was a good spirit, and the people that came to get him, they're obviously good spirits. But have you ever had anything where there was mean spirits?
Not to my knowledge. If you're in a very depressed mood, people in that vibration will hang around you and make you more depressed. So it's snap out of it, or you have the ability to put a protective light around you, and that's been on for years and years, and you don't need any of that. If you're seeing in another dimension and you see something that frightens you, it may be a thought form, and it may be something you created, but nevertheless you want it out. You see, I'll tell you what, a lot of the people that see in that other dimension, they actually create thought forms. And you have to learn to discern, is it truly a thought form, or is it someone coming by their own volition to instruct me, and you listen to what's going on. Another thing I want to bring out is because if you are having this ability to see in other dimensions, be very careful. Just because people are dead does not mean they're smart. I'm serious. Think about it real often, because let's say your loved ones, one makes a transition, and they hang around you, and they're it's not going to make them smarter because they died. And if they can project to you some thoughts and things, and you think they know more, forget it. In seance rooms, this happens very, very often. When you go there to talk to your loved ones, hell, I spent 3 weeks in seance rooms in England, and boy, did I learn from that one. Most of those people that came in, they were elderly, and they were wanting some information about their loved ones that had made their transition. And so each time the medium chose someone, say, is Rima here, or is Betty here, or whatever, I would check and see the person behind the medium, and I could describe in detail and what was happening. The woman that wanted to talk to her husband, she was creating a thought form. And the medium was very good at reading your mind, and so she would accommodate you. So until you know these things, you're going to be led down the garden path.
Okay, because you know who's got a good book on that might help people learn? Sonia Cochette has written several books, and one of them that I finished reading this year was called Ask Your Guides. And she talks about that very thing. about one woman who was getting messages from her mother, but when her mother was alive, her mother drove her nuts. And she was still doing it in the afterlife, and she had to learn how to let that go and cut that off. So, yeah, that's a very good book. It's I have Sonia's link on my website in the resource section under Attracting Luck if anybody wants to go look it up. She wrote a book called Ask Your Guides, so that way people can learn a little more.
Yes. Yeah. Well, listen, I told you I was going to digress, and you want to get back to the contesting?
Well, I think this is much more interesting, and I run the show, and and you know what? I'm watching people's messages online. They are not missing the contesting at all. Everyone's saying, please tell her we love her so much. So you've had so many messages like that, I couldn't even list them all to tell you how many people said comments like that about you. So I just wanted to pass that on.
Well, I appreciate this. You know, all the love you can get just makes you more comfortable and satisfied and tranquil. I just love it. I'm almost a recluse out here, and my favorite, of course, is getting on the email and last night I had one from Vietnam, and they just ask questions. In Hungary, Sunday, I had one from a girl in Hungary. So they come, and as I said, I think after they read Joe's blog and they know my email address, they just make contact. And I answer all my emails because I'm not one of the movie stars that wants to get in seclusion, and that's not my point. If I can help them to help themselves, that's my purpose, and that's your purpose. And you're doing a very, very good job of sharing all of your techniques to winner contests. But you can go a step further and share some of these things about it does not have to apply all to winning, because it can apply to anything. It can apply to loving a person, caring a person, healing a person. So you're right on the right track, kid.
Yeah, I've got a couple more books in me. I know that. I want to do one for the marketers, and I want to do one just on expanding the Attracting Luck chapter. So it would, of course, just like you said, expand out to include all areas of your life. I did have one question. Someone wants to know if someone's doing a movie of your life.
Yes, there is there is rather not a movie, a documentary. Dr. Laszlo has done a number of CDs, but they're in Hungary, and I can't even translate. I have him here, and he's written all my books also in Hungarian.
Well, then we'll talk, because my mother-in-law is Hungarian, so maybe we'll be able to fix you up there.
Well, it's just all it is, somebody read my book, and they put it on a CD and read it in Hungarian.
Oh, I see.
So the people could relate to it. That's it.
Oh, so it was just translated.
Yes, So periodically, if I have a real thought, I email him, and he uses it with his students, which is very nice. I don't need any remuneration. I do it because I want to. So anybody that is sincere, I always share with my ideas, my concepts. And yes, let's see. About 5 years ago, there was a producer that also was from Hungary, and she came here with her writer from England and wrote a screenplay. And that screenplay she has been trying to sell, but there's never been enough revenue in the Hollywood areas to film it. But in the meantime, she has her studios in Hungary, so she did a documentary.
Oh, okay.
And I guess it's in Hungarian. But see, things like that, I don't follow through. I just say, okay, if it's going to help somebody over there to help themselves, who cares? I mean, let her do it. And I contact her periodically, and that's it. But right now, my goal is, as I said, to have this Man Called Friday as a screenplay or as a story or as an ongoing thing on either Lifetime or Hallmark. Because
we'll get everyone to put their energy towards it. So everybody listening, we need you to put a little bit of your energy. Think about all these people, hundreds and hundreds of people. Focus their energy towards Helen and have her book made into a screenplay for Hallmark or Lifetime. That's what we're going to help her do. Everyone's going to help you. There you go.
Okay. And everybody that is listening, I'm going to project that they win the prize they're now seeking for. I hope it's one prize. I hope it's, do one thing at a time, children. Do one focus at a time. And you're going to give it more energy that way.
You know what's really funny when you said that? I tell my daughter when she wants me to do all this stuff, I tell her all the time, I can only do one thing at a time. Yet then I don't even follow my own advice when it comes to contesting or some of my other goals. And it never occurred to me to do the same thing. Mom can only do one thing at a time.
Yes. You're missing a bet there. And it is. I mean, one thing at a time. Then when that comes, then I start another thing. Then I start another thing. And, you know, when I wanted to win this trip to be France on my 40th birthday, drinking wine at a sidewalk cafe, that little anecdote is in my Name It and Claim It game book. Well, the first time I sent it off, and that was I saw myself drinking wine at a sidewalk cafe on my 40th birthday. And the first thing I won was an organ, a Hammond electric organ. And I just got hysterical because I said, one of the judges read my entry, and what he thought was, she doesn't need to go there, she needs therapy. Because my entry was, I'm curious to find out if a pooped couple with 3 kiddos can recapture the rapture of springtime ecstasy in their fat 40 frustrated years. So thinking of that, I mean, he thought, God, she needs therapy. I'll just send her this electric organ, which was second prize. I kept that same 25 words and send it in, and then the next time I won my trip to France, Paris, France. So it can get funny at times, you know. Judges have a sense of humor. They're the ones that dictate, but I never gave up because on my 40th birthday, I was sitting at a sidewalk cafe with my husband drinking wine. And yes, you can recapture the rapture of springtime ecstasy, even if you're fat, 40, and frustrated.
Well, that's good to know. I just want to remind everybody listening that I can't be the contest queen without having a contest. So this week's prizes, I have 2 more CDs to give away from Ron Moore, who sings in the key of Elvis. And if you want to win them, email me at carolyn@contestqueen.com with CD in the subject line and put your name and address in there so it's easy for me to mail your prize if you win. And I'll get that off. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about? I mean, I could talk all day to you, but we won't. That just means I have to have you on as a guest again.
Well, I think we covered the bases, didn't we? Yeah.
I think we did. So basically, it comes down to if one wants to win a specific thing, focus on that one specific thing.
That's
and
right.
Enter any promotion that has that particular prize as an offering. So if you want to say win a car, don't enter, things to win DVDs and gift baskets and that. Just enter the car contest.
Yes, that's what I would recommend. And of course the motto, SPEF, SPEC. And if you remember that slogan, selected, projected, expected, collected. And that's the secret, if there's a secret.
That is a good secret.
Uh-huh.
Well, now it's not a secret because you just told it to everybody.
No longer a secret, okay? But it is. It's a powerful, powerful method.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll talk again ourselves.
Okay. Well, whenever you feel inclined to call me, I'm here. And if I'm not, I'll be here later on. And I really enjoyed sharing with your group.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm sure that I'm going to start getting emails from people saying, I cut out all those frivolous promotions and I focused on, winning that trip to, Italy, or I really wanted a new car and I focused on that, or I wanted, whatever it is that they want, and that's what they got.
Well, that would be the secret, children. Take my word for it, because it worked for me, and I'm not anybody special, but that's the way I won everything I ever wanted. Okay?
Well, thank you so much again.
Right.
Okay,
well,
bye.
I'll hang up. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.